one of your co-presidents for PTSA for Cooper. I would like to welcome you all for coming this morning. I appreciate you for taking your time to come out to our first Chat and Chew of the year. We would like to thank our sponsor this morning. Her name is Miss Lanisa Pettigrew with Pettigrew Realty. She sponsored our snacks this morning, so make sure you partake of the snacks. She will be our sponsor throughout the year to sponsor the snacks that we have. We would also like to welcome all of our PTSA board members. Y'all want to raise your hand. We have Miss Beverly, we have Miss Nicole, Miss Laura, and myself. 7 of us, so we're only missing 3 this morning. We would like to thank our school principal, Dr. Watkins, for allowing us to have this event here this morning. And would you like to say a few words?
Welcome. Thank you all so much for coming. We really appreciate you being here. And we have these every month. The PTSA is basically our sponsors, and they determine what our topics are going to be. We try to set it up to where there's more like a Q&A session, and but some of the times that we meet, there will be like a special speaker that we have, like we have this morning. And it's just informal conversations with the principal and also with the PTSA sponsoring the event. Okay? So again, thank you all so much for coming.
And now, without further ado, we want to go ahead and want to respect everyone's time. We would like to thank our guests and introduce our guest who is with us this morning, Miss Annette Hughes, who is here with the Social Concepts and Development Services. So please give her your undivided attention.
Good morning, everyone. You know, I'm one of those people, even though they say I do a great job, every single time I have to get up and speak, I'm always uncomfortable, I'm always anxious. So anytime that you hear me slurring or I get nervous, that's part of me because I actually have anxiety. So therefore, I sometimes have to shift gears and I get stuck in gears, but I keep it moving, okay? So please forgive me. But nevertheless, my name is Annette Hughes. I am a social worker, and I'm also a certified school social worker, licensed by the state. However, I advocate for families on the back end. I do attend IEP meetings, responsive dementia meetings, etc. I'm also a behavioral therapist. And so with that combination, it allows me a great deal of ability to advocate for families, to be able to really make a big change. I also work on generational issues, because a lot of times we have habits where when I come into the home, I'm asked to fix the child, and then when I meet the parent, then I understand why the child is the way they are, because our kids are who we are. At the end of the day, I'm so my mother. And the very things I will say about my mother is the very person who I have developed to be, and she's a wonderful person now that I know. All right, so I am a mom of 3. I'm a grandma of 3. And my last child just graduated from high school and is now in college, so I'm an empty nester. So I'm excited to sort of see what the world has for me as a husband and wife team, and, you know, get back to basics of who we used to be. So we'll see how that works out. And so far it's going wonderful. Anyone have any questions at the moment? My office is based in the city of Austell, and I'm housed at Sweetwater Mission. Does anyone know where Sweetwater Mission is? It's called Camp, Sweetwater Camp, right there off of Veterans Memorial Drive. So I'm in the area, okay? And then that way, just depends on what you need, just let me know. All right, so I was asked to come and discuss about mental health. And believe it or not, that's one of my biggest challenges, because people don't understand what mental health is. Because we have these nicknames for it. We call it crazy, girl, you schizo, dude, you need some help. And we really don't put things in perspective. So when I'm asked to come out, I generally do it from a wellness perspective, because I have to. Because a lot of times we don't diagnose ourselves, we think that something is going on, but we have certain behaviors, we're not quite sure what's happening, we have repetitive behaviors, and then things seem a little bit disruptive, you know, our days are off, etc. So in doing the wellness perspective, it really allows us an opportunity to kind of get an idea of what it is we're looking at and what a healthy lifestyle really looks like. Because only then can we apply and say, maybe I can make these changes in this area. And then that way, and understanding that those changes, even though some may think you're presenting with a mental health issue, it's really a wellness issue, okay? So let's go on. This is the wellness movement. The wellness movement has to do with SAMHSA, and they're the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration philosophy, where they're bringing how it motivates the families and the communities and individuals to do different things. And really it's how the cardiovascular health, the heart palpitations, the anxiety, and all those different things are really affecting us, how we're operating, how it affects the communities, where we have, whether it's crime or different things like that. It's really related to how we're feeling well about what's going on in our lives. So without having to reinvent the wheel, Sam's already did the homework. So as a social worker, it's my job to present that information to everyone, and I appreciate the opportunity. Wellness Initiative is about the purpose in life, why we're here, active involvement in satisfying work and play. We are all here because we care about our school, we care about our kids, right? We want to see some changes. Joyful relationships, not just with our families, our significant others, but with the school, right? With our teachers, with our social workers, etc. A healthy body, a living environment. Who had breakfast this morning? I did. Yep. Started off the day kind of a little weird, didn't we? Yep. Happiness. How happy are we? I'm happy. I'm happy. Anybody here happy? Yep. Evidence shows that people diagnosed with serious mental illnesses served by the mental health system, and I know sometimes Community Services Board doesn't appreciate me saying this, or Cobb Douglas Public Health, but what it is that it's how we service ourselves and making sure we maintain our wellness by taking the time out to do what we need to do and not waiting until the last minute to be able to get the help that we need. Many of us die from preventable diseases, cardiovascular disease and diabetes. You gotta think about what we're putting in our bodies, right? Social inclusion. A lot of times when we're actually coming out and we're around people, or we may be in Walmart and we're having these stressors, or we're having some things going on, and we may be observing certain things, or we're in Food Depot, or we're in Kroger's, and then all of a sudden you see somebody's acting a little different, or you're standing up there talking to yourself. What do? Do we avoid those people? Well, I don't know what's wrong with that person, right? Things might be a little extra for you that day, and when you see someone and we're in a very uncomfortable environment, we're at the gas station, we're looking around. What ethnicity is that person, that individual? What is it that we're feeling? Understanding how social inclusion actually works. And even if the person has a mental health disorder, like myself, having anxiety, sometimes if I get too heightened, I look different. So I'm hoping I'm presenting well this morning. Because there are days, thank you, because there are days where it's a little off. And I'm mindful. I cannot have a hectic day. Right? We can all contribute to creating a healthy community. Why is wellness vital to recovery? About behavioral health disorders and chronic disease, hand in hand. It works together. When people come to see a mental health therapist, what we always ask after we have a conversation is like, when was the last time you've been to the doctor? Who's been to the doctor within the last 6 months to a year? Very good. That's key. Because at the point where we can do a rule out from a medical condition, we can then maybe go in to see what sort of wellness issues that you currently have. And one of the biggest factors for us with mental health is that we're going to always ask you to check your thyroid. If your thyroid is off, you present with almost symptoms associated with bipolar disorder because you're dipping and dabbing, you're in and out, your thyroid. So we have to ask you to go and check. Smoking. How many of us smoking because it relaxes us? Nope.
I'm moving my hand.
Yep. All right. Obesity. I'm on that obesity scale. Absolutely. And even though we can add a little few inches and a little, poundage because maybe it's not how it used to be size-wise, yeah. You have to understand because at the point when your ankles are swelling, when you're walking and you're bending your feet all day, your knees are aching, you understand? Your stomach is getting a little bit more rounder and the pants aren't fitting, the dresses aren't fitting. You got to understand that maybe we're going into another area that's maybe not quite our regular size. Substance use, what does that look like? Our wine drinkers, our beer drinkers, I had a long day. I need me a drink. Understanding how substance use plays a role in what we do and how we self-medicate. Because believe it or not, that's called self-medicating. That glass of wine turns into 2, it turns into 3, and then on the weekend we are binging. That is considered substance use, whether it's legal or not. And then if there's other things that we do. Inadequate access to medical care. And to add to that, not just inadequate access, but also when we don't even give ourselves access even though we have the insurance. Who's taking the time to actually go to the doctor? But clearly most of everyone in here said yes, because it is important. And how it impacts our physical health and our recovery process. We must take care of our bodies and other components of our well-being to maintain good physical health and stay on the path to recovery. Because it is a wellness perspective. This is not just for people who have actually diagnosed, have an actual diagnosis. This is for everyone across the board because we can very easily cross over into something else. Mental illnesses are common in the United States. Now look how it's defined, any mental illness. And this is from the National Survey on Drug Use and Health. Any mental, behavioral, or emotional disorder, excluding developmental and substance use disorders. Diagnosable currently within the past year. Because when we do diagnosis, there are windows in which we take a look at how we diagnose. Did you have these symptoms in the past 2 weeks? In the past 2 years? And then when we do a scale, so we do biopsychosocial assessments. So therefore there are scales that we take a look at. So it's not just, oh, this has been going on for a long time. We're talking about as early as 2 weeks. Diagnosable currently of sufficient duration to meet diagnostic criteria. That's just that big book and how we make our diagnoses. First one, AMI, which is any mental illness, can range in impact from no or mild impairment to significantly disabling impairment, such as individuals with serious mental illness, defined as individuals with a mental disorder with serious functional impairment. You don't ever want to cross that barrier. You have to be able to recognize when you're having an issue and a wellness issue because it's so easy to cross over. It's that glass of wine or 2 that you did to self-medicate that can very easily get you a DOI. You understand? It's that one time when you're so anxious and upset with your job because your caseload might be too high or the boss is getting on your nerves, that the one good day you go in and knowing you have to pay your bills, you go in and you become disrespectful, and therefore you are then insubordinate. Right? Because when something and how you're feeling and your emotional status then kicks up a drive to the point that it causes you some sort of negative backlash. You may not diagnose yourself, but I'll tell you, a therapist will. We will explain to you that you have a wellness perspective, you have a wellness issue, because it doesn't mean that you necessarily need to be on medication. Some of us do, some of us don't. And when I was initially actually diagnosed, I actually had a panic attack driving on the expressway. I thought I was having a heart attack. I didn't think I was going to make it off the expressway. I had to learn how to control my anxiety, and what it was is because of what I did for a living. You know, I've been working with children and families for the last 30 years. So at that point, it was a lot of work. And then when you care and you're compassionate, that's another issue. And then you have kids on top of that, that's even worse. And you're going and you're going and you're going because you know what, you think you're the Superwoman and, you know, Superman. Guess what? You know you're not. Any mental illness, that first critical time was almost like I felt I was having a heart attack. Okay? And this does not include any mental illness, does not include substance use disorders. So no, you're not drinking. No, you're not getting high. Right? It's drug or alcohol related. And of course, you always want to give statistics. There's an estimated 43.6 million adults, 18 or older in the United States that has a mental health issue. Here's the statistics at a snapshot. Female and male. And I just want to preface this by saying that the female would be higher because we have a lot on our plate. All right? So it's not because we just have more issues. We're just busy. All right? When my husband saw these statistics, he was like, yeah, that's what I figured. No, you figured wrong. Don't go there. All right? 18 to 25, look how high that group is. 26 to 49. So imagine 18, your kids are coming out of high school, well, some of you not yet. And look at what's happening. Diagnosable. What about the ones who's not diagnosed? Hispanic, 15.6. Whites, 19.2. Blacks, 16.3. Asian, 13.1. And the thing is be mindful about how statistics work. It's a lot of it is access. So if you're not going to the doctor, these numbers can actually be off because of the point you haven't even walked in to say, let me take a look. To me, I'd say, as a behavioral therapist, I would tell you that to me, this signifies someone who understands that they're having a problem and went to seek help. That they were willing to understand that they needed the assistance. Has nothing to do with one ethnic group is bigger, worse than the other. It's acceptance of how mental health plays a big role in ourselves, in our families, and in our communities at the end of the day. Here, NAMI statistics, these are actually, this is very small, but I had to put this chart in. That top row, when you see those people, that says 1 in 5. Actually, right now, it's really 1 in 4 people. 1 in 4 of us have a mental health condition. 1 in 4 have a mental health condition. Here in the United States, 43 million is a lot of people, right? And these are just how the statistics are broken down. Hopefully you can see this. I got this from Cobb County's Public Health Department. So I wanted to make sure I related to Cobb County in itself, because when we think of here, a lot of times we kind of miss the message. We get it, but we have to really not sure we get it. So right here with the statistics, look at our population in Cobb. I don't know if you can see this. I don't want to change it because I might throw it off. 684,000 people in 2009. And then in 2013, we jumped to 717,000 people in Cobb County. Now, remember, I said 1 in 5 people have a mental health disorder. All right? This is our ethnicity broken down. Okay? In the U.S. population, we have, in Georgia's, we have 10,214,000 people. Mind you, 717 is here in Cobb alone. That's a lot of people in our county. Isn't that crazy? Yeah? We're almost at that million mark. All here in Cobb. This right here, leading causes of death in Cobb. Heart disease and mental health disorders is number 2. Isn't that something? And here in Cobb, we may not want to acknowledge it and recognize it, but this is not Annette statistics. This is Cobb County statistics. What about our youth? 15 to 19-year-olds. Look at the second leading cause of death. Intentional self-harm, suicide. These are our kids. Our kids are in the schools, they're acting out, they're trying to get to you, they're trying to talk to you, and we're not getting them the help that they need. Because we got it together, we have it going on. My kid is not at risk. I do well. I work hard, I got a house, I got a home, I take care of this, I understand exactly what you're saying, but look what the number 2. Homicide. The angry kid is acting out. So even though you think that your home is a perfect home, understand that your kid is going to school with that kid. Why don't we look at 10 to 14-year-olds? 4th leading cause. Why is a 10 to 14-year-old thinking about suicide? What grade are you in when you're 10 years old? Your child is thinking about suicide, or one of their classmates are thinking about suicide in the 5th grade. You have to understand what these statistics really mean and why we must get help. It is scary. I see kids all the time, and then in the back of my mind, I'm like, I know that. I know that behavior. I know that behavior. And it's scary. And unless it's excessive, I'm one of those people. Yes, I do believe it takes a village to raise. I will be of that village. Because I'm like, here's my card. There's something that I'm observing with your child. Maybe you might want to get some help. You have to. Heart disease, the #1 failure. Here in Cobb again. These are statistics broken down. Heart disease. So understanding with me having anxiety and always being anxious, why I always have to try to be as calm as possible. So if you see me sometimes and I'm like, how you doing? And keep it moving, I may be having a moment. It has nothing to do with this. It's not about you. It's about me understanding that maybe I need to take it down a little bit because it was maybe a very long day. You know, I go to Walmart and I will go shopping to take a look and see what's there because you can't spend your money all the time because that's also a disorder. Binge eating. I'm a binge eater though. I'm an emotional eater. Right? And understand, boom, 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 boom. When your heart is constantly pounding because you're anxious, because you got this to do and you're running around and that creates heart disease. And if I'm not eating well because I got up this morning, knowing I had a presentation, it was at 9:30, how come I didn't have breakfast? What's my excuse? Was I prepared for my own self, for my own lecture this morning about taking care of yourself? No. Because that's what it looks like. But I knew enough not to drink coffee. And I love coffee. And I always wanted to have a coffee shop as a side gig where I would not dare. Do you know what I would look like behind a coffee counter? You were like, that lady should take her own advice. Okay, so why do I have the statistics up here? We have 10 million people in the state of Georgia, and then we have 717,000 in Cobb County. Look how many people are licensed in this state. In the state of Georgia. This is minus the psychiatrists and the psychologists, which is even worse. And I think we came up to about, the last time I counted was about 17,000, a little at 18. I rounded up to 18,000. Scary. 10 million people. 717,000 in Cobb County. 1 in 5 people with a mental health disorder, and 15,000 professionals to do it. Maybe 18. Who's helping who? Yeah, it's pretty dismal. So I say this to say, I encourage anyone to come into the field. You know, that's my plug for the field. Give me a hot second. All right, let me build my soapbox. Let me explain to you why. We're not asking for perfect people to be part of the team. That's not really the goal. The goal really is to be able to understand how to empathize, what it looks like, how we are able to interconnect with each other, and how to really support each other. Because that's what it really looks like. So even though we may have the 15,000 professionals, then even if you don't want to do social work because it might be too much for you, then what you do is you come to these type of meetings. You engage in your school system. And those are things that we're going to be going into, because even though I show you these statistics, there's a reality I wanted to sink in. I need you guys to understand that if our kids are experiencing problems, they're on the internet. There's so much information infusion these kids are getting that we can't filter everything. And if your kid got a smartphone and you put a lock on that smartphone, then you know they're accessing something. YouTube, Snapchat, Instagram, doesn't matter. So this is SAMHSA's vision for wellness, a future in which people with mental health and substance use challenges pursue optimal health, happiness, recovery, and a full and satisfying life in the community via access to a range of effective services, supports, and resources. This is what it looks like. So I brought some cards for you guys regarding Wellness Day, but let's go over what this is about. Is how do we promote community wellness? How do we enhance? How do we empower? Part of it is where I come out and I say, listen, I got to talk about this because I have to. You know, I tell everyone, I make my money when I have a family sitting across from me. That's how I bill insurance. So I can easily sit down and fold my hands and just wait till the next client comes in and check, next, I'll be rich. Right? Looking at the statistics. However, there's such a bigger picture of what we're supposed to do and how advocacy really looks and what our expectations are in terms of working and living in the community. I work and live in South Cobb. How would I not come out and do my part? It can't be about money. That's not what I'm supposed to do. You're not supposed to do that. This is how the 8 dimensions of wellness look, and we're going to go through each of them. Emotional. This is my category, but I believe it or not, this is also a parent category. Coping effectively with life and creating satisfying relationships. This is also for you, Dr. Watkins. For when our families walk in the door, you want to be aware, you parents need, we got to be aware of our feelings. When I got out of bed this morning, what did I feel? What were my emotions? How did I tap into the day? Before my feet hit the ground, when my eyeballs popped open, I had an emotion. What was that emotion? Because that dictates, oh man, I gotta go, whatever, and then we come out of the bed and we're coming and we're like, oh man, what is going on today? And if we have kids in the household, we're like, okay, hurry up kids, and is it that you need the extra 10, 15 minutes, and then all of a sudden you get up and what are you telling your kids? Express your feelings to others. Understand that if you're in your household as a parent and you're yelling at your kids all the time, you're getting up in the morning, but you're yelling at the kids every morning. Didn't I tell you? I'm going to tell you right now, call me. We need a chore chart. We need time management. We need something because it's not the kids' fault. Understand what routine looks like on how we're supposed to be able to get our family members as a team to be able to do what we need to do, because when we express our feelings for whatever comes out of our mouth, we have to understand we dictate that. That's the self-esteem. You understand what I mean? That's what that is. That's how you build up and not tear down. Seek support for coping with upsetting emotions. I would love to have your kids as clients, but don't come without your kids. You need it too, because I do not do therapy without family therapy. It's not going to happen. It's not, and don't bring me one child, bring me all, because see, at the point where you single out your child that needing help, and we're not talking about the regular ADHD or something like that, I'm telling you have then made your child a scapegoat of the family because you did not recognize that everybody in the household played a role in developing characteristics. We all have characteristics. How many of you have siblings in here? Right? And no matter how old you get, every time you all get around each other, you play the same role, don't you? You all, soon you guys will have a cane. And guess what? You're going to still play out that role. So then, why would you want me to fix one child? It's not going to happen. It's not possible. And how would you not understand that it is a family problem and not an individual problem? And then if your child does get diagnosed, understanding on an emotional level that then you have a child with special needs, because that means you have to slow down. The mornings can't look like hectic. You would have to get to bed earlier on time in order to get up on time to get your child on a schedule. Coping effectively. That's all. Financial dimension. Okay, I don't know about any of you all. I am the working poor. I'm not uncomfortable with saying it, but I do not live beyond my means. There is nothing I have that is on credit. I got one credit card and that's it. And I love a Macy's, but that's it. Because if I go bypass it, I'll shop, I'll even try it on and look at myself, and it stays right there in Macy's. Right? Satisfaction with current and future financial situations. Be thoughtfully creative about budgeting and spending. It can't be where you're so stressed that you can't even afford to put one of your children in a program. You have to understand that you're not going to be able to do what you want to do for yourself anymore because you have kids. So what do? You're supposed to be able to say, okay, well, I need to put my kids in a program. You have 5 kids, that's a lot. Ask for a discount. You'll be surprised how many programs around here will work with you. You put the kids in, you make it a family event, you get your stuff together, put on your clothing, you know, go outside in the field, use it for football, is it cheerleading, is it baseball, doesn't matter. And if there are programs in the school that's for free, we get that you're working, I get it. But if you don't understand that you got to engage, I don't know what to say. Be thoughtful and creative. Plan and prepare for the future and open bank and savings account. My son had a checking account, a savings account at 13 because Wells Fargo opened it up. See, don't ask me for money all the time, much less for video games. That's not going to work. But what I will do is I will reward you and I will give you, what do you call that thing? An allowance. And you want to get a game that's going to cost you $50, $60? Okay, you know what? I'm not going to judge. That's a generation. But you're going to earn it. And mommy and daddy will not be slashing that card like it's nobody's business. And believe you me, it is not cute because you have the finances to buy your kids whatever they want and you indulge them. It is not good parenting to overindulge your kids. And understand how that really works, what that translates into. It's called immediate gratification. And when you provide a child with immediate gratification, right? This is what I want, I get it now. I want this, I get it now. I want this, I get it now. What do you think you're teaching your child?
Easy.
What do you say?
It's too easy, bro.
Too easy. And then you turn around and you look and you're like, you're ungrateful because of the blood. No, see, that's you. I'm not saying to deny your child, I'm saying to understand how it really works for a child to learn the fundamentals of earning whatever it is that they're supposed to earn. And make the reward something worthwhile. Save your money and take your family on a trip. Rent a car. Rent a car one good day. Go somewhere. Go LJ. Go apple picking. Go wherever. Everybody go in a hotel room. Find an inexpensive hotel room, not just any hotel room, you know, make sure you know what it, you know, what it's like, you know. But at the end of the day, go somewhere. Social, developing a sense of connection, belonging, and a well-developed support system. Make a list of supportive family, friends, and co-workers and peers. Okay, we all have family members that we don't want to be bothered with, but understand who family is. It's still part of you. Don't judge. If you have kids and you're not with the parents, you know, so, you know, with the parent's parent or whatever the kid, the child's parent, okay, no problem. But you know what? Don't make the parent an issue. If you're the primary caretaker, get it together, woosah, and then go and find your kid's father, mother, grandmother, paternal grandmother, paternal grandfather, everybody. Because that is your network. Not when the child needs something, it's like you get a phone call, hey, could you get? No. Why are you calling me all the time when you need something? Understand how social and supportive family members look like because you're building that relationship. Remember, a lot of this is what we're talking about with wellness, is that how we build our network. Even if you move out of state, you let the kids call their family members. That's isolation. That's isolation. Understand how we build that support network. Friends, co-workers, and peers. If you find that your kids are calling auntie and uncle friends and not family members, right, which is okay, but they're calling your friends aunt and uncle more than their actual aunt and uncle, that's not them, that's you. Right? Make at least one connection per day by calling, emailing, or visiting someone. If your parents are still alive, how often are you calling your parents? All the time. Love my mother, but she drives me crazy, but that's okay. That's my mommy. My mother's on dialysis 3 days a week. For the last 4 years or so, I call her donkey. Because that woman can move. You hear me? That nothing stops this woman. You hear me? When I tell you that what she has instilled in us is one where, and including that, and my parents divorced when I was very young, my dad was always involved. I love my parents. Find what's good and when you're building those networks, and understand that making a call, and even if you can't do it per day, text. Join a club, social group, or support group. There's the All-Star Community Task Force, there's the Powder Springs Task Force, there's the Milton Improvement Coalition. Join a civic organization and see what they're doing. Get engaged. Because you need to get your kids engaged in the community. Because you have to remember, how are your kids going to get the letters of recommendation? They can't be just from the teachers. And I tell you this, from the colleges, they're looking to see if your kids are engaged. You got the best GPA, and I'm telling you, yes, unless your kids are active, you want to make sure they volunteer with an organization whose interests you share. That also includes you. Get involved in peer support. Everybody needs somebody. Spiritual. Okay, mind you now, this is not religion. Religion is okay, because I don't want to get into the fights of whether you're a Methodist, you're a Baptist, you're a Seventh-day Adventist, or anything like that. I have to specify, when we discuss spirituality, is expanding our sense of purpose and meaning in life. It doesn't mean where it is something that you have to go to church every single Saturday or Sunday. It's okay though. But remember, it depends on what philosophy you're coming from. If we are going to be the church, and we're going to be that vessel to be able to share and be kind to others and building a conscience. You know how you have to build a conscience? How we build a community and understand that, okay, that doesn't apply to me. That's over here. You have to make time for practices that enhance your sense of connection to yourself, nature, or others. See, that's the spiritual definition, because only then when we get the nuances to something about that person, it's just really, I'm really connected with that person. That's like a more intimate, that's a whole different thing. You don't see that kind of spirituality on how we connect. It looks different. Spirituality is, and so even when you're doing a church and you're serving, you're the usher and you're this or you're the deacon, it's still where you have to understand how spirituality plays a big role. Find a community that shares your spiritual outlook. And that's including for those who may have read, because my husband is a pastor's son, right? And he's evolved. He's changed. So where I used to call him the Facebook pastor, now he's starting to read. So he does believe in God, but he does not believe in the practices and the different things like that. So even with the people like that, so if you're sitting in the audience, please understand that don't let anyone fault you and tell you you're a bad person for not going to church. If you're giving back in the community, understand what that means. Alright? So I want to let you all know that. Occupational dimension, getting personal satisfaction and enrichment through work and school. You got to pay the bills. Doesn't mean you can't do what you love. But ensure your job, paid or unpaid, supports your well-being. That's including all the other dimensions. Be supportive of yourself. Understand what your job holds. You can't go in and then not be happy all the time. And even though a work environment sometimes can have low morale, understand how you play a part in the low morale. And if it has a high morale, understand what you did to make it high. Communicate with your supervisor regularly and get support when needed. Don't wait till last minute, because your crisis for waiting till last minute is not your supervisor's crisis. And vice versa, because your supervisor needs to be there for you. If your supervisor is going through a crisis, hey, what is it that you need? What's happening? It's reciprocal. Because when it's time comes for evaluation time, because we're being supportive, understand that that's your job. Cannot apply. What is it that you need? Well, this is what I need. This is what's happening in the company. This is what it looks like. Take work and study breaks. Okay, do me a favor, please take a lunch break. I know some people don't like to do that, and oh, I'm so dedicated to my job. Well, when you're on the chopping block, right, and you gotta get downsized, you get upset because all of a sudden you gave all this time and you want somebody to pat you on your back. No. Doesn't look like that. Georgia's an at-will state. You put in 25 years. I come across people like that too. And you're out the door. Take your breaks. Go call somebody. Go eat. If outside is beautiful, go ahead and do it. Don't look at yourself as a martyr for not doing it. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. But your body does. Physical dimension, recognize the need for physical activity, healthy foods, and sleep. I don't do none of this. I'm not gonna lie. It's the worst. I gotta do better. I went to bed after 2 o'clock this morning to get up at 7. Didn't even work, and that's tossing and turning. Yeah. This week is Wellness Week. It is busy. Don't do anything. Stay active by taking the stairs and walking instead of driving. Kind of working on that one, just a little bit. But so many stairs I can actually take. Make healthy food choices. But when I get in restaurants that is not where it's all fast food, I can drive it quick and drive on. I'm going to get there. Because then I'm being lazy to get out the car to go into a Publix or something like that to get me a salad. But I can go through Zaxby's if I want to, but if I tell me to go through Zaxby's, I'm like, oh boy. Then I'm passing, before I go to Zaxby's, there might be the Long John Silver's or the Captain D's. I'm like, Love hot dogs. Oh boy, there goes Sonic. Right? Get enough sleep is as important as diet and exercise. See your primary care doctor regularly. Like that I do. I have to, because at the rate I go sometimes, I want to make sure I'm okay. And I made sure I found a doctor near the home, so my husband goes to the doctor more than me, which is exciting because I don't want to have to be that wife where it's like, go to the doctor, go to the doctor. I'm telling you, he can walk to the doctor. See, I did a good job. I know better. One thing down, right? And he's always up there. Get his blood, because he had high blood pressure and high cholesterol. And actually, he stopped taking his pills because he's gotten better with changing the diet. We just now that we have to lessen the portions, that's all. Intellectual dimension. Recognizing creative abilities and finding ways to expand knowledge and skills. If you find that you have been doing the same job in and out and you think you're real good and for the last 10, 15 years, and I'm going to tell you something, you are not challenging yourself. You want to know how I can do my supervisor's job. Well, do it. How do you do that? Take a class, read a book, share what you learned with others. Did you go back to school? Are you taking some courses online? When was the last time somebody read a newspaper? Raise your hand. This morning. Yep. You got to do it. What else did you do? Did you read? You can even read on the iPad on your phone. You can do that. But you got to do something to enhance your intellectual knowledge to understand what's going on. You got to go and see what's happening in our county. So in this district is Commissioner Cupid. Are you getting a newsletter? Right? So you understand what's happening. Let me go take a look and see what this zoning thing is all about. She does zoning trainings where you can kind of know what's happening with your zoning and get an idea of what's coming down your area. 6 Flags Drive, they almost fighting adding more liquor stores. More power to them. Do we need one more liquor store? I know sometimes we want to convene next to our house, so we don't have to go all the way down the street, but understand what that does. Through our intellectual, recognizing creative abilities and finding ways to expand knowledge, we build our community because we have to understand that in doing so, it allows us an opportunity to be able to make our community to look a certain way. And looking at the improvement plans. Create a scrapbook or discussion group. Anybody have a whole bunch of pictures in a bag or in a box somewhere? Yeah? Okay, that's your family project. Before the year is out, while the kids are on break, go to Michael's beforehand, or we could take them to Michael's, because I did that, of course, and then you get all these photo albums, try to catch it on sale, because they always have coupons, and make it a day of really enjoying your kids and them seeing themselves as baby, and recall those fun times that you had, because that way sometimes when you get on your kids' case so much, they want to know that you still love them, because we got 10-year-olds that think about suicide because our days are so hectic and they come home screaming. Right? Research a topic that interests you. Environmental dimension, finding a pleasant, stimulating environment that supports well-being. I'm always painting walls with my families. I don't care where you live. I do not care. House, home, an apartment. Understand what environmental living is really all about. Because you have to make your house a home at the end of the day. You cannot worry about the landlord who didn't provide X, Y, and Z, because you as a parent is your responsibility. And your child does not need to hear you yelling on the phone or make them feel that they're the problem and you are living the dump. How many of us did not weren't raised in a home? How many of us knew the hard times that we were growing up with, and our parents provided such a great environment that we didn't even realize we were poor? So what happened? We drive past and see all these big houses, and then all of a sudden it's like, I could get one of those, and then we forget about it. For younger kids, thank you. For younger kids, same thing, right? Understand what their room looks like. When I come in and see some kids' room and family's room, because I will go into your home, I'm in your cabinets checking to see what you eat. I'm going to take out all your Hawaiian punch and all your red stuff and your blue stuff. And understand that their room is their environment. And if you allow your child to have a messy room, you have then created chaos within the home. And then they got to sort stuff. You're upset, they're upset. They can't find, there's no organization. It's unacceptable. That's not them, that's you. Take a walk or seek out music, other experiences that have a calming effect, get out the house. Les, I know it's hot. I know. It's burning up, but guess what? You got to go to the mall. Take your kids to the mall. Get it out. And it's just a sample of how it's interconnected, like the financial dimension, for example, might affect how an individual feels that they can succeed socially. Because if you ain't got no money in your pocket, you say, well, I'm not going anywhere. Can't hang out with your girlfriends, can't hang out with your guy friends, can't go to take them anywhere. That's not you. Go to the mall. Go to the park. Occupational dimension may suffer if the intellectual dimension is being compromised. Increase your knowledge, learn what you need to learn in order for you to get promoted or to be able to go to the next job and get the money that you want. Do your homework. Third week of September every month, SAMHSA has National Recovery Month. That's what we're in right now. And it's to increase awareness about wellness within our communities and extend longevity. Because at the end of the day, we got to be happy. This year, it's September 11th through the 17th, and that's the observance. When they do National Week, this is where my next year is going to be. I'm campaigning to challenge the schools and businesses to be able to find how we can do this within a week's time and then be able to post it and send it out. Because we have to understand how this plays a role. All dimensions work together, the physical dimension, fine programming. So me coming this today, when I was invited, I was hyped. Because I'm like, Wellness Week, this is what I'm supposed to do. See? I was supposed to be here, everybody. This is Wellness Week, and I have some cards here. Social Concepts is my business, but along with Sweetwater Mission, All-Star Community Task Force, Powder Springs Task Force, Connecting Generations, they're an intergenerational program here, and Amateur Advocates. I don't know if you guys know Albert, he does Mapleton Day. And we all came together, and we did Wellness Week. It was a campaign which I did as a mental health therapist to explain to them, you guys been here, you know, I really would like for you guys to support me in being able to bring an awareness campaign to the community. We need the help. Everyone talks about Six Flags. And this year as the entire South Cobb, that's not true. Please take one and pass it on. Thank you, Dr. Watkins. And so at the end of the day, this is what we're doing. And this is what we're preparing for wellness. Those are our partners. Always give your resources, right? It's not something that Annette just created. No, I'm just the deliverer of the message. And this is Joining Hands of Wellness, and we're partnering for wellness, and I'm hoping that your school would also partner with me. And that's it for today. Thank you so much. Does anyone have any questions for me? Hello, yep. Anyone have questions? All right, and I know my presentation is not one for really questions versus I'm hoping that there's reflection. Because see, that's where I said, let me don't do the mental health and diagnosis because I'll end up diagnosing everybody in the room and asking a lot of questions. So don't get me wrong, I get that. So I thought that doing the wellness perspective would provide a much bigger frame of reference for us to really get an idea of how we present. We're in the community, yes.
I guess from a traditional standpoint, it was always the concept that mental illness was a hereditary. But now hearing the numbers that you're sharing, and the huge increase, or maybe it's just because we were not aware, I wrote down the question, why the large number? Is it because of the stressors that we have in today's society, or is it diet really?
Actually, it's both. Because what the question really, what you really asked initially was, is it truly a genetic component to it? So yes, there are some disorders that are associated with genetics. However, environment plays a big role, because even with schizophrenia, you can have someone in your family or even a parent with schizophrenia, and even though there may be a predisposition, environmental factors plays a role in whether or not the child may have a psychosocial crisis within a regular time frame that will show that they're schizophrenic. But if a schizophrenic, and let me tell you, I take a schizophrenic over a sociopath any day, because the schizophrenic will tell you that they want to hurt you, or they'll tell you that they're well. It presents differently. The sociopath is a smooth talker. They're that person that's coming in and it's like, ooh, and it's, ooh, I love this person, it's nice. And their main goal is to see how they can get over. So, yes, there are stressors that are involved, and that's where mind wellness plays a big role, because you want to be able to understand how that's important. And if we can stabilize a community by being actively engaged, yes, then we can do a lot more. So it's not always, and remember I said initially, it's not always a diagnosis. It could be just a wellness issue.
What about the diet? Because you mentioned red and blue.
Oh yeah, red and blue dyes that's in drinks are closely associated with kids having ADHD. So when I come in and the parents tell me about the child being hyperactive and they're presenting, whether it's inactive or really it's two different types. It's hyperactive and inattentive. So either way, I'll take a look. The hyperactive primarily is the one that's really focused for the dyes. So understanding how stabilizing the diet is very important. So just don't look at it so much as just the sugar, because sugar's in everything. So when you're really having an overall diet, it's why you have to really find a balance on why it's important to eat well, why you do want the greens. So yes, we want to avoid cancer, we want to avoid all these other things, but it's really how we balance all the sweet stuff, whether it's the juices, and then we have the candy yams, and then understanding how even eating macaroni and cheese has also sugar in it, and how pasta has sugar in it. So you have rice going on, and you have something sweet going on, and you have a sweet drink. Then you have that one say that you have had an overload of sugar. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Any other questions? All right. I want to thank you guys for listening to me and showing interest. And, I didn't see anybody nod out, so that's important. I'd like to thank you for that. Because it does happen. I have one of those monotone voices. I'd like to also encourage you all to be able to be more supportive in the community. I think this is the first step. I'd love to see that there's so many parents here, but actively really engage in the community, get your kids out, and get involved. Inside the school as well as outside. All right? Thank you so much.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Do you have any leads on volunteering? Like my daughter needs volunteers for that.
Absolutely.
Can I email?
Yep. Please email me this Saturday. Oh, what would I not think about? This Saturday, we encourage everyone to come out to Color Park to this event. And yes, kids get community service. We're there from the crack of dawn, from 6 o'clock in the morning. So they come, this is our third year, and they get community service hours. So they're different through All-Star Community Task Force and Hot Springs Task Force. These are the engines that we do a lot of community events where the kids plug in and we do a number of things. This Saturday, the kids generate almost close to 10 hours. And when I say they come out, they are fierce. Right now we have 60 kids volunteering, and the Pebblebrook culinary class is doing their box lunches. So when I say we work hard to get the kids engaged, we don't play. We do not play. These kids know what they're doing, they know what they want, they know what they need, and they are awesome. So yes, to answer your question. And the next event will be the Thanksgiving, and then Carolyn Turner does hers at Middleton Parkway, and then we have the Holiday Blitz with Toys for Tots. Awesome. I think we have like maybe 1,200 families that we work with. Yep. You're welcome. Volunteer opportunities all the time. Okay.
We'll also post her information on our website. Thank you so much for coming. I'm glad we made that connection right in time to come out. One of the things for me is mental health, mental wellness is a passion for me, as well as children. I am a CASA, if anybody doesn't know what that is, a court-appointed special advocate, and some of the children that I work with, they have a lot of these issues, and I see them in the school systems, you know, not being able to sit and pay attention, and it was very dear to my heart that I wanted to make sure that the parents were aware of some of the things that's going on, because a lot of times they're always saying, oh, those are just bad kids. But we really have to look closely at it to see that there may be something that's really going on. So I thank you so much for coming out. We have a gift for you.
A gift for me. I love
And we're going to give Ms. Daly a quick opportunity to make an announcement in reference to book fair and volunteering.
And tonight.
And tonight, right.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Mrs. Daly in the Media Center, and we're going to have our annual book fair October 17th, the week of the 17th, which is Parent Conference Week. So I'd like to invite you to come with your children or come in alone. And I have some book fair flyers right here. I'm also looking for volunteers. I'm looking for volunteers to work in the Media Center. Anytime that you can give us during the week, we would greatly appreciate that. And definitely we need volunteers for the book fair as well, because I'm just one person and I can't stay here for 14 hours the way I did last year, so I'm looking for help. I just wanted to really tell you about tonight. We're doing a meeting with parents about English and a math meeting and how to help your children with resources. And I'm going to go into this a little bit more depth this evening, but it reminded me of a conversation I had this morning with a parent who came in and he told me his son's lexile level, his reading level, was quite low, and how could I help him? So we have 10,000 books in the library, and every single book, if you just hover over the cover on the computer, and I will show everybody how to do that this evening if you come, or you can come any other time and I'll help you with that. You can actually access our online database, and you could actually see what the book summary, about the genre of the book, and also the reading level. So some of the new books that I purchased, and that's what I brought with me to show you, they will have the reading level on the bottom of the spine. But that's very few books. There's 10,000 in there, and I probably only have about 500 or 600 now intermingled with the old ones. But the father was concerned about his son reading, he was calling them comic books, that's what the students call them, but they're actually graphic novels. So I brought this one because this is March, and this is the John Lewis story. And I like this book because my daughter interned for John Lewis in Washington, and she just got a job in Washington. She went to law school because of him, actually. She was very inspired by him. She knew she wanted to be a lawyer, but she's going to D.C. in like 2 weeks, so I'm very emotional. But anyway, so you could read a book that looks like a comic book, as the kids will call it, but it's filled with facts. This is 100% nonfiction. So although I have fictional graphic novels, my goal is to get nonfiction graphic novels for reluctant readers. Here's one on Hernan Cortez. It's the same thing. It's colorful. I mean, these books are 700-800 lexile. Don't let the pictures fool you. So there's a lot of information. And then I have one also here on the Lindbergh child. So these are all very important books for reluctant readers. It's a place to start. So they might actually be reading a book like this at a much higher level than they would if they just came in and said, I'm reading on the 400 or 500 level. This might be a 700 or 800 level, but because of the pictures, it's going to slow them down, and maybe it's something that you could read with them and find interesting. So I encourage you to come in anytime and speak with me about helping your children find the resources from home. Every single thing we have on our shelves is completely accessible to you from your phone or from your home, from an iPad or from any device. I'm going to go through that this evening. But I was thinking ahead, and I think on Friday morning, starting in October, I can actually meet with parents maybe immediately after the kids get dropped off from 8:30 to 9:30 or 8:30 to 10, that window, and start going through some of this with you. And if that doesn't work for you, I'll come up with another time if you want to just come and see me or email me. I do have my name on the school website. So I want to encourage you guys to look at the books from home with your children. Have them put 5 or 6 books on a list, so when they come to the Media Center, we can help them find that book. And the other thing that I'm going to talk about this evening in length is that I'm putting books in genres, which is closer to the bookstore model. So all the fiction, and we have about 5,000 books, will now be found in about 10 categories. So it'll be a lot easier to find the books that they like, and also maybe start with a genre and a series. And it's just going to be so much easier than looking through 5,000 books just organized by author. So they'll still be organized by author, but they will be in a genre like fantasy or science fiction or something like humor. So various categories, but they're actually genres. So that's the direction we're going, and we're making as student-friendly and accessible as I can think of to make it. And if you have any suggestions, I'd be happy to take your advice. So that's all I have to say. So hopefully we'll see you tonight or on Friday morning starting in October.
I would just like to give an update. I am very happy to announce that we are maybe like 20 people away from reaching our 200 goal. If you remember me saying before, we just right at 200 people by September 30th. So if you have not joined, we are asking for you to please join today. The importance of joining PTA, as you can see, is getting you aware of the things that are going on, how you can engage with our students, being involved within the school, and volunteering. We are still a few short on our community partners, but if you have a business, if you know of individuals in the community, we need 30. We have, I think it's 5 right now, but we have 2 weeks, so we can have, it's possible, it's doable. If we can do that. And then I'm also happy to say that we are about 15 faculty and staff members short of reaching our 100% participation for all of our faculty and staff. So I'm very happy with all the efforts and encouragement. Are there any other announcements, comments?
What's the criteria to be a community partner?
A person that's in the community that would like to join, pay their fee, and you come out to our meetings. You also have the opportunity to vote whenever we have like different events. You can come and you can set up. So it's a lot of ways. So you would be a wonderful community partner. And the cost for community partner starts at $10. Okay. So $10. If there are no other questions, Dr. White.
Just to say thank you all so much for coming. Let's give the PTSA and our speaker one. Did a great job in organizing today's event. We look forward to all the other chat shoes. Please plan to come out tonight. We're not going to hold you long. It's for just an hour and a half. There are no additional assemblies. It's just reading, hearing from language arts teachers by grade level, and then math. We have about 2 teachers per grade level that are staying. We have you in really big rooms. You'll get like a little card with where you go for the first group, for the second time, and then we have some drawings as well. Some of our partners gave us some little gift bags and some things we have for you as well. So just really for you to get information to help your children at home. We had the summer parent meetings. This is what the parents suggested that they wanted. They wanted nice and early, so you can know more about lifestyle scores, more about how to support our 25-book reading campaign, some strategies on how to help your child with math at home. And I tell parents all the time, regardless of what kind of mathematician you are or not, please do not tell your children that you're not good at math and make them think that they're not going to be good at math. We do math every single day, all of us. The issue is at what level, and our children need to have math to go to do anything in their lives. So please don't tell them that. They can be better mathematicians, not necessarily a math teacher or a professor or even an engineer, but they can definitely do math. So she's just going to be sharing with you all some strategies on how to help your children at home, how to encourage them with reading and with math. That's the purpose of tonight, and we look forward to having you guys come out. Hope you've been getting my text messages and dial-outs and all that stuff. Thank you all so much.
And our next community service project is the shoe project. We'll be doing shoe donations. That information has been put out. The individual who has the organization is actually in Ghana, so we've been waiting for him to come back to bring the boxes. But in the meantime, we're going to bring some crates in so that you can be able to bring the shoes in, and we want to get our students involved with helping us organize that. So we'll do that throughout September and October, and then our next chat and shoe is October the 12th. It's the second Tuesday, and it's going to be in the evening time at 6:30. So look forward for that information. Thank you so much for coming out.